Good morning. Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeremy Simon. I am the founder and CEO of 3D Universe. We are one of the leading authorized Ultimaker resellers here in the United States. And so today I'm very pleased to talk to you about their solutions. So I assume that some of you who have joined us here are looking to make an investment into 3D printing. Maybe you're wondering whether this might be the solution for you. And you've probably noticed that there's a lot to choose from out there. There's all kinds of different printers, and some of them are, really inexpensive. Some of them are quite expensive. Some of them deal with resins. Some of them print in metal. Some of them have some impressive specs on paper. There's all kinds of differences, and that can make it can make for a pretty challenging process in identifying which the best solution for you is. And this was, in fact, one of the reasons that we originally started 3D Universe, was recognizing that there is so much to choose from out there and that it can be quite difficult to find the solutions that are really going to give you a good experience and a good return on your investment. And so we've made it our focus to really work extensively to test all of these different solutions that are available on the market. And explore not just their capabilities and their specs, but really understand the user experience that each one offers. Because that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day, is what can you get done with it, and what is that experience like? And so, picking out the best machine doesn't always give you the results you'd expect if you're just basing that decision on specs and on what the brochure might show. The truth is that, a real, effective 3D printing solution is not just about the printer itself. It's about a deeply integrated platform that's going to give you the kind of return that you need to let you get things done in an efficient and effective manner. So it's not just the hardware, it's also the software and the materials and the way everything ties together. And that's a lot of what we're going to be looking at today. So let's start with the hardware. Ultimaker is really known for reliability and ease of use. So the printers are just designed to work. They just do what they are supposed to do, so that it becomes a tool that's, just like a hammer or a screwdriver. It's just something that you can use to get the job done. It's not something that you have to spend all of your time tinkering with and getting it to work properly. It just does its job. And that's the way it should be, right? Unfortunately, that's not the way that it is with a lot of printers on the market today. As I said, we test a lot of products here at 3D Universe, and the vast majority of the printers that we test, we end up not carrying because they might look great on paper, but when we actually get to the unboxing and setting it up and calibrating and getting those first prints going, unfortunately, that user experience just isn't there in a lot of cases. It's just not smooth. Ultimaker really does a good job in that regard. It's fully assembled, ready to use right out of the box, very easy to set up, very quick calibration, and everything is just tied together really nicely, as you're going to see in today's presentation. It also has an open system for materials, so you can use any of the Ultimaker materials, which we'll look at today, but you can also use any of hundreds and hundreds of different materials that are on the market from other vendors. So you have a huge variety of materials available at your disposal, which means that you can use these printers to achieve the specific goals that you have in mind, whether that's making prototypes or production parts or parts that need specific physical properties. There's a material on the market that's going to give you what you need. And then the integrations, as I mentioned, the software, the materials, everything being nicely integrated into one effective solution is something that's really unique about the Ultimaker portfolio. So let's take a look at the printers. Here you see the S line of Ultimaker printers, which you could think of as kind of the latest and best available with the leading edge features. On the left, you see the Ultimaker S3, which is their sort of a standard desktop size, similar size to the Ultimaker 2 series that you might be familiar with, and the Ultimaker 3, which is basically been replaced with the S3 that you see here. And these printers also bring nice features such as a great touch panel interface on the front, dual extrusion with swappable print cores that you can swap out for different size nozzles and different capabilities like printing abrasive materials and things like that. Active bed leveling to automatically handle any minor inconsistencies in the bed leveling, such as just minor fluctuations in the flatness of the glass and that sort of thing, to give you a perfect first layer every time. and integrated networking capabilities, onboard camera, et cetera. Everything that you expect from a sort of a leading edge 3D printing solution in today's market. Then you step up to the S5, which you see in the middle there, and it basically gives you a lot of the same features, but in a larger package so that you have a significantly larger build volume. And then over on the right, we see the new S5 Pro Bundle, which is just a phenomenal solution that brings really an industry class 3D printing solution that can sit right on a desktop or sit happily on a shop floor, and introduces things like fully automated material handling, an intelligent top cover that helps to provide more reliable printing, especially with more advanced materials, and filtration for any of the sort of ultrafine particles and organic compounds that might be emitted from these 3D printing materials. So a lot of other nice features. We're going to take a look at that in more detail shortly here. So this is the S line of products. And then you still have the 2 series. You have the Ultimaker 2 Plus and the Ultimaker 2 Extended Plus. If you're looking for something with sort of a little bit more basic capabilities on a little bit more of a budget, these are printers that are single extrusion, but still offer those same basic features that Ultimaker is known for, such as reliability, ease of use, great support, et cetera. So if we look at kind of where these fit in, the Ultimaker 2 series is great for educational environments that want to get their students started doing prints to help illustrate certain concepts, or printing out for various projects that you might do in the school. And it can be good for product development, basic prototyping. If you just need to do some basic single material prints to test out a product prototype, it's a great fit for that. When you move into the S line, you cover a lot more ground of possibilities. You can do things like producing manufacturing aids that might be more complex shapes that need different types of supports that are available with the dual extrusion printers. You might want to do architectural models or medical dental models, or even end-use parts, which a lot of companies are starting to do now. So just a huge range of possibilities for these printers. And Ultimaker printers have always been really well known for the exceptional print quality that they offer. And I'm showing you just a couple of examples here. In the upper left, you see a dual extrusion print, so you can see what it looks like when you print something with water-soluble supports. That's a material called PVA that you see there, that sort of off-white material, and that dissolves away in plain water. And so you can print very complex types of geometries, like that shape that you see in that upper left photo, that you just wouldn't be able to print otherwise. Because if you use traditional supports that need to be broken away, there's no way you could get inside all of those internal cavities to break away those supports. And so by using these water-soluble supports, you open up a huge range of possibilities for printing complex geometries that you just couldn't do otherwise. In the upper right, you see an example of a dual extrusion print that's using 2 different colors of a build material. So that opens up some nice possibilities for doing prototyping to show multiple colors at once. In the lower left, we see a very popular test print that's known as the 3D Benchy. This is one that people like to do to test out the capabilities of a printer, because it includes a lot of features such as curved surfaces, overhangs, and other challenging factors like that. And as you can see, just a beautiful, clean print here right off of the Ultimaker. That's exactly how it came off the printer, no cleanup whatsoever. And in the lower right, you see another example of just one of the many test prints I've done just to show some of the finer feature capabilities that you can do. That one, again, was done with water-soluble supports because you just wouldn't have been able to print those tiny little details like the glasses and the little tiny, sort of nubs that you can see in the corner of the glasses, and just all those little tiny intricate details. So print quality is just second to none when it comes to this type of 3D printer that is an FDM or extrusion-based 3D printer. So here we have a comparison of those different models that we've talked about. I'm not going to spend much time here. I will be sharing these slides after the presentation, so you can spend time on this at your leisure, but I'll move into some of these details here for each of the different models that we've looked at. So the Ultimaker 2 series, as I said, is great for single extrusion. It offers swappable nozzles, so you can go to a smaller nozzle for doing finer details, or you can go to a larger nozzle to do faster printing with thicker layers. Just depends on what your needs are. You can easily swap out those nozzles as the needs dictate. It has a geared feeder for very reliable filament handling and reliable extrusion, so that you don't have to worry about failed prints. It has a heated build plate I cannot stress enough how important a heated build plate is if you are looking to get into 3D printing. Some of the more lower cost 3D printers that are available on the market might omit the heated build plate. And if you see one that does not have a heated build plate, that tells you that it is going to be limited to PLA and maybe one or two other materials, but pretty much PLA only, because pretty much all the other materials that you might want to use that offer all those other types of advanced properties that you might want, they're going to need a heated bed in order to get good adhesion when you're printing. So that heated build plate is really key for giving you flexibility in your printing options. And you've got a very decent build volume available in these two different footprints, the 2 Plus and the 2 Extended Plus. So to take a look at that build volume, we've got on the 2 Plus side, we've got a build area of 8.8 inches by 8.8 inches by 8.1 inches. That 8.1 is vertically. And then when you go to the Extended, the 2 Extended Plus adds 4 more inches vertically. So it's the same in the X and Y, 8.8 inches, but then it goes 12 inches vertically, so you can do much taller prints with the 2 Extended Plus. Otherwise, the capabilities are identical between these two machines. That's the only difference, the 4 inches of additional vertical build volume. So then we go to the S3. The S3 it was introduced more recently within the last year or so, and this offers a lot of great new features. You've got the networking capabilities. So you can send your jobs to the printer right over the network, which is much, much easier than having to go back and forth to the printer and put your SD card or USB flash drives in. It's got a great touchscreen interface, which not only makes it very easy to interact with the printer, it also provides context based guidance. So everything that you're doing, it actually will kind of walk you through with these wizards and show you, in many cases, even with pictures and animations, it'll show you exactly what needs to be done and walk you through each step of the process. So it makes it even easier to use than it was already. It has advanced active leveling for the bed. And what that means is the bed comes leveled from factory. You do not need to worry about leveling it. You just take it out of the box and it's ready to go. And at the beginning of each and every print job, the print head actually probes the bed at a number of locations around the build plate. And what it's doing is it's actually building a three-dimensional height map of the whole build area surface. And if there are any slight inconsistencies, because even a sheet of glass has some very minor inconsistencies in flatness, might be fractions of a millimeter, but that's enough to make a difference in a good first layer of your print. And so the printer will automatically compensate for any of those slight fluctuations in bed height by adjusting the thickness of the initial layers of your print. So it'll go thicker in certain areas where the bed might be a touch lower and thinner in other areas. And the result is you get a perfect first layer every time. And it really, I can tell you from experience, it makes a big difference compared to earlier generations that did not have that active leveling. Much more reliable. And any of you who have been 3D printing for a while know that it's all about that first layer. You know, if you get a good first layer, when that whole first layer is going down well and sticking well, very good chances that the rest of your print is going to be fine. Most failed prints start with issues at the first layer. So this is really important. It does also, this printer also has a front enclosure. So there's a nice glass door that's on a hinge with a magnetic closing mechanism that keeps the internal area more or less enclosed, which is nice, especially for some of the more advanced materials that need a warmer build area. So it helps provide more reliable print results for that reason as well. It also has flow sensors built into the material feeders. So when you run out of filament on a spool, the printer knows it will automatically pause your job and tell you that you need to load a new spool. You can load on a new spool of material and the printer will resume right where it left off and continue. So you don't have to worry about, you know, having a failed print just because your spool ran out halfway through and you weren't there to catch it. It also has really easy setup and monitoring capabilities. The Ultimaker brand spools have NFC tags on them, which this printer recognizes. So when you put a spool of, say, Ultimaker Tough PLA Green on the printer knows that you've just loaded Tough PLA Green, and it will automatically configure itself with those settings. That information flows right through to the Ultimaker Cura software that we'll look at shortly, and it just makes for a really nice automated, sort of easy to use process. There's also an onboard camera for monitoring your prints. You can do that from your desktop computer through Ultimaker Cura. You can also do it from your smartphone using the Ultimaker app. So really nice monitoring capabilities. There's also abrasive material components. So there's the feeders in this printer have hardened steel components that mean that this printer can handle abrasive materials, such as those that have carbon fiber or glass fiber. You can print with those materials without worrying about causing damage to the printer feeders, because they're all built with hardened steel components. This printer sells for $43.95 here in the US, and has a build volume of 9 inches by 7.4 inches by 7.9 inches. So very similar to the Ultimaker 2 Plus, just slightly different X and Y dimensions, but a similar overall volume. Then we go to the S5. Now the S5 has a lot of those same features. You got the touchscreen, the networking, the active leveling, the flow sensors, all the stuff that we just talked about. Every one of those same features is present here. The main difference is that you get a larger build area, and significantly larger. I'll show you the build volume on the next slide. But the other key difference is that this model also gives you support for some very nice add-ons that have come out since the launch of the S5, which we're going to be looking at shortly. So there's something called the material station that we'll look at. And there's something called the Air Manager that we'll look at. And those are only available for this S5 model, not for the S3. So that's that upgradability factor and the ability to sort of extend your investment to bring additional capabilities is unique to the S5. The basic S5 printer sells for $59.95 here in the US, and that build volume is 13 inches by 9.4 inches by 11.8 inches. So as you can see, a significantly larger build volume allows you to do a lot, either larger prints or more prints on the build plate at once. So if you're printing smaller objects, you can print a lot of them at one time. Now, that Pro Bundle is the S5 Pro Bundle is basically the S5 combined with those two add-ons that I mentioned, the Air Manager and the Material Station. And this is something that is truly unique in the industry. The combination of these three components really delivers an industry-class solution that gives you very close to 24/7 production capability, because the material station provides pretty much automated material handling. It'll actually load the materials in automatically for you and unload them as needed. If a spool runs out, it'll swap over to the next spool. It's just a really nice solution, not to mention the fact that you can now load those materials right from the front with a nice, easy to open door that opens to the front. You slide a material spool in, and you can literally load a spool of material in 2 or 3 seconds flat. You put the spool in, you stick it into the little feeding hole that's in the front there, and that's it. A little pre-feeder grabs it, and you're done. You don't have to go through the whole loading process, because when you start the job, it's going to then load that material all the way through as needed to get it ready for the job. It'll prime it. It'll do all that for you. So it just really makes it a lot nicer to use because of that. And then the Air Manager offers some nice features that we're going to take a look at in a moment too. So this whole solution, the S5 Pro Bundle, purchased all together, sells for $9,100 in the US, which compared to some of the other industry level solutions that you might be looking at as a business or as an organization, it's really actually quite an effective price point compared to what you could spend on a high-end 3D printing solution otherwise. So the Air Manager is a smart top cover, basically. So there are other there are other covers on the market. There are other enclosures that you might look at, and that some people were using before Ultimaker came up with this solution. But the difference is that they're not smart covers. They just kind of sit on top of the printer, and they might help to, keep the temperature inside a little warmer, but that's about it. They might do some filtration, but again, it's a one setting thing. You just turn it on, and that's all you can do. The Air Manager is actually connected to the printer. There's an actual signal cable that connects it in, and it's actually tied in through the Ultimaker Cura software, so that depending on what material you're printing with, it'll actually adjust the settings of the fan that's built into the Air Manager to have more or less airflow going through, so that it can intelligently control the temperature within the build area and keep it either warmer or not quite as warm, depending on the material that you're working with. And then, of course, it has a very effective EPA filter built in there, which removes up to 95% of ultrafine particles. So this is really a nice addition, especially for environments where you might be a little bit more concerned about safety, such as like in a school environment, and then for dealing with more advanced materials that are usually trickier to print, like ABS, polycarbonate, nylons, things like that. It's really helpful to be able to control that build environment temperature. So the Air Manager sells separately for $795, but it's also included in the Pro Bundle. And the material station, as I said, brings fast and easy loading. You can just slot them right into those front bays, hold up to 6 spools. You can use Ultimaker materials. You can also use other third-party materials. Most Ultimaker materials, as you may already know, are 750 grams, so they're a little bit narrower than 1 kilogram spools. I have found that most 1 kilogram spools actually fit just fine in these bays as well. It'll depend on the brand. Some of them use a wider spool factor, but most standard 1 kilogram spools will fit. And this really brings pretty much uninterrupted printing because, again, when the printer senses that a spool is run out, it can back that filament out into the material station. And if you have another spool of that same material loaded, it will automatically load it in. It won't even prompt you. It loads that new material in, primes it, and then resumes the print without you having to do a thing. It is completely automated. So for example, if you're a production facility and you're running a certain part and you print only in one material and color, say you're doing something in tough PLA black, you could load up all 6 bays with tough PLA black and just let it print and print and print. Obviously, somebody needs to be there to take the prints off the bed when they finish. But other than that, it's going to just keep going. You know, you can queue up your print jobs and they'll just run one right after the other. And whenever it runs out of a spool, it'll move on to the next one. So it brings a great increase in the level of productivity that you have. Humidity control is built into the material station also. So there's actually a unit in there that will help to keep the humidity level constant in these materials, which is very important, especially for materials that are more moisture sensitive, like PVA, nylons, things like that. So as long as you put your materials in and they're at a good dry humidity level, the material station will keep them at that optimal humidity level. And it's a self-regenerating mechanism. It uses these silica beads and it detects when they have absorbed a sufficient amount of moisture, at which point it automatically turns on a heating mechanism to dry them out, and it just keeps going. So you never have to worry about changing it or anything like that. Materials are auto-detected. It has the same NFC detection capability. So when you put a spool of Ultimaker material in, it's going to auto-detect what that material type and color is and communicate that directly to the Cura software. It's compatible with composite materials, abrasive materials, things like that. So again, for those more advanced use cases, you're ready to go. And you can just, it allows all kinds of configurations. You can keep a number of different materials in here. You can have different types of support materials. All of those different material combinations are then available within the Ultimaker Cura software and ready to use as long as they're in the bay. The material station sells separately for $3,300 here in the US, but again, that's also part of the S5 Pro Bundle. All Ultimaker printers include 1-year warranty and lifetime support. And it really is exceptionally good support. I have to say, the Ultimaker team does a phenomenal job when it comes to support. 3D Universe is here to help you with any kind of common usage issues. And that's one of the things that I think makes us really unique is the kind of support we provide. I mean, we will work with you to help make sure that you have your particular use case working well. If you need help, reviewing your print settings, if you need help actually setting up jobs in Ultimaker Cura, we will work with you in that regard to make sure that you get everything that you need to get the results that you're looking for out of your Ultimaker solution. So that kind of one-on-one support is something that I think is pretty unique with us. And then Ultimaker's team takes over when it comes to the warranty support for any kind of hardware related issues that might come up. And they do a phenomenal job, just exceptionally good customer service. They're very good at addressing any issues that might come up and providing very quick resolution on those issues. As I said, all these printers include a 1-year warranty and lifetime support, but you do have the option of buying an enhanced service plan for any of these printers that would extend that warranty coverage by an additional year, giving you 2 years of warranty coverage. But in either case, you still have that lifetime support. So you'll always have assistance with the printer for any issues that arise. So Ultimaker 3D printers really offer exceptional features. But what really is it that drives digital manufacturing? It's not just about the printer. Software is every bit as important, the software that you're using to drive the 3D printing workflow. And you need something that offers a good user experience, a simple workflow. You need something that's going to help you to manage things in a productive manner and keep your productivity up. You want something that's going to support remote monitoring and remote print management. And you want something that's well integrated with not only the printer, but other aspects of the 3D printing ecosystem, such as your CAD software, material partners, and things of that nature. And the world's most popular and widely used slicing software right now is the one that Ultimaker brings to the market, Ultimaker Cura. This is an open source package that anyone can download for free. But it's, it's designed with Ultimaker printers in mind. Many people use it with other non-Ultimaker printers, but you get some really nice benefits when you use it in combination with an Ultimaker printer because of the integration that they provide with that. Ultimaker, as I said, has become the most popular slicing software in the world. They're seeing over 2 million slices happen every week now, over 100 million slices a year, which is just a staggering number. They have more than 600,000 active users monthly, and that probably isn't even a current figure. That was the latest one that I had access to, but quite a lot of users that are actively using the Ultimaker Cura and the Ultimaker Cloud solution that we'll talk about shortly. Ultimaker Cura won Best 3D Printing Software from the 2019 3D Printing Industry Awards. So it brings a lot of nice features that we'll take a look at. Slicing features, it's very easy to use, it has a very well integrated workflow, and it has something called the Ultimaker Marketplace that expands capabilities even further by letting you bring in plugins and ready-to-use material profiles. So slicing features, we're going to be doing a separate session later in the week that I hope you will join for, where we'll take a deep dive into Ultimaker Cura. And in that session, I'll be giving you a direct, guided walkthrough of everything that Ultimaker Cura has to offer. So we'll go into a lot more depth there. But you have the ability to really control every aspect of your print settings with Ultimaker Cura. But it gives you kind of the best of both worlds. If you want to keep it simple and you just want to click a few boxes and get your print going without worrying about all those detailed settings, you have that option. You can go into what they call recommended mode, pick a couple of basic settings, and you're ready to print. Or if you want to get more advanced, you can go into custom mode, and that's where you can get into all the different settings. You can get access to every aspect of the print that you want to. There's over 400 settings available, and you won't see all of them by default, but you can turn them on as you want to, and you can have as much or as little control as you desire. And they're constantly rolling out updates. I've never seen another 3D printing vendor that does such a good job of updating their software on a regular basis and making sure that those updates are stable and work well and are going to offer improvements to your 3D printing experience. They're constantly bringing new features into this platform. As I said, there's a really nicely integrated workflow. So when you connect this to a network-enabled Ultimaker printer, it will know exactly what material is loaded in that printer. And in the case of an S5 Pro Bundle, where you have that material station, it knows all of the materials that are in there. So in the screenshot here, you can see in that little drop down at the top that it's showing multiple materials and material combinations. And if you scroll down, you would see even more. So it'll show you every material and material combination that's in that material station. And all you have to do is click on the one that you want, and it'll configure all the settings for exactly that material combination, and you're ready to go. Could not be easier. You've also got something called Ultimaker Cloud and Cura Connect. These are two different tools that allow you to manage your jobs through the network, monitor your jobs through the network. And with the cloud solution, you can manage them from wherever you are. So you can queue up your jobs, you can group your printers, you can do all kinds of very advanced 3D printing management workflows from wherever you are. They also have third-party plugins for CAD software. As I mentioned, there's material profiles that we'll look at momentarily, and it's compatible with a range of file types. So for the most part, you're dealing with STL files and OBJ files for printing, but there are other formats being supported now too, like X3D and 3MF, and then image formats, which you can use as well for other aspects of the 3D printing workflow. And so it's got quite a broad range of capabilities. Very easy to use. With a basic tutorial, you can be up and running and getting 3D print jobs going in very little time. Even if you're new to 3D printing, there is no better way to start than with Ultimaker Cura. Compared to some of the other slicing platforms I've used, it's just a lot more intuitive, a lot easier to get started with, especially with these new intent-based profiles that Ultimaker has introduced. So when you can not only automatically configure a job for a certain material that you're using, but you can now just select from a number of pre-built profiles based on what's important to you. Are you looking for the best possible visual quality? Are you looking for the best possible dimensional accuracy? Are you looking to just print as quickly as possible? Whatever your intent is, you can with a single click configure the profile for that intent. And as I said, there's a marketplace built into Ultimaker Cura that offers a range of free plugins and ready-to-use material profiles. So the plugins bring you additional functionality to the Cura platform, such as direct integration with popular CAD platforms or feature add-ons for the Cura software. And then the material section has ready-to-use profiles, and we'll take a look at that in a short while. CAD integrations include some of the most popular CAD platforms out there, like Autodesk, Siemens NX, and SolidWorks, with more coming all the time. So expect to see that collection continue to grow. But if you can easily print to one machine, why not think bigger? Some of you might have more than one printer or might be thinking about having more than one printer in your collection, and Ultimaker Cura really ties in nicely with that. So when you get into Ultimaker Connect and Ultimaker Cloud, you get into the ability to group printers together. So if you have a collection of printers, you can create groups and then allocate access to those groups to different people in your organization. You can queue up print jobs to those groups of printers and have those jobs directed automatically to the next available printer that has the appropriate materials and configuration for that job. You can prioritize those jobs in the queue, etc. And you also have access to analytics, so you can monitor your material usage. You can forecast to see how much material you're going to need to buy based on what's being used. You can see your print success rates. You can see if certain types of prints are having issues. There's all kinds of helpful data points available in these analytics. The grouping, as I said, allows you to arrange these printers into groups based upon either the types of printers or the groups in your organization that need to have access to them. You can collectively maintain these printers also. You can access maintenance reminders through this interface. You can even do firmware updates over the network, all kinds of capabilities built into this platform. And as I said, you can manage your print production. So you can queue up your jobs and have those jobs automatically be allocated to the next printers on demand with the necessary capabilities. You can organize those jobs and sort of drag them up or down to arrange them in terms of priority. You can automatically select jobs from your print history and submit them for printing again. So if you need to reprint a recent job, you can do that very easily without having to go back and reslice it. And I mentioned the analytics, so you can see logs of all of your previous prints. You can download all of this data to a CSV. You can see your print completion rates, material usage, et cetera, and those are all available as needed. And adding to the Cura Connect, we now have something called Ultimaker Cloud. So with Cura Connect, you had to be on the same network as your printer. You had to be in the same local network. With Ultimaker Cloud, you can be anywhere. So now you can connect these printers to the cloud. You can access them from wherever you are. You can see what they're printing. You can send jobs to the printers from wherever you are. So you could be at home and you can queue up jobs for your printers that are at the office, even without being there. And you can create teams and allocate access to those teams to the different groups of printers. And you can also do backups. You can back up your Cura configurations, your plugins, all your material profiles and settings. You can back up all of those things into Ultimaker Cloud so that you have archives of them. So if you ever have to set up a new computer or something like that, you can easily restore those configurations and backups without having to start over. And then you also get access to that Ultimaker Marketplace. So the cloud 3D printing workflow, as I said, you can manage all of your jobs from the cloud. You're no longer limited to having to be on site or on the same local network. You can organize your different teams and different groups of printers to give your teams access to the printers that they need. You can do these backups that I mentioned, saving and restoring settings as needed. And you can even enable automatic daily backups so that it happens on a scheduled basis. The marketplace, as I said, you can download software plugins. You can also access these ready-to-use materials. And you can also contribute to that marketplace if you're an organization that has a material that you want to offer or a piece of software that you want to offer. You can actually put your plugins and material profiles into the marketplace and be a part of that program. Okay, so we've got great hardware, we've got great software. Is that the whole picture? Well, not quite. You also need to look at materials. It's a hugely important part of the equation because this is perhaps the number one thing that's going to determine what you can do with your 3D printer, what kinds of use cases it's going to be good for. Will it be effective for a particular type of prototype or for a particular type of job that you want to do that needs certain types of physical properties? It's all about the materials. And the wonderful thing about materials is they're constantly expanding. There are so many materials on the market today, but there are new ones coming each and every day. So When you invest in a 3D printing solution like this that has an open materials platform, you're constantly getting new and and exciting materials that come into the marketplace that you can instantly take advantage of. So your investment becomes more and more valuable as those new materials come into the market. So there's a huge material range already. As I said, open system, so you don't have to limit yourself to the Ultimaker brand materials, as good as they are. There's a great selection of Ultimaker brand materials, but there are a huge number of other materials available that you can also take advantage of. And Ultimaker has developed something they call the Material Alliance, which allows these third-party vendors to develop profiles that are extensively tested with the Ultimaker solutions, so that all of the settings are exactly dialed in the way they need to be to give you optimal results with that exact material on a particular model of Ultimaker printer. And those material profiles are ready to download through the marketplace, so that with a single click, all you have to do is select the material you're using and all the settings are done for you. Everything is optimized and ready to go, which is just a huge value add. So the Ultimaker material portfolio, as I said, is quite good. They've got a number of different materials, and we're going to take a look at each one of these briefly. You've got materials for ease of printing and visual quality. These are the most popular materials, PLA and tough PLA. Now, PLA is the one that most people kind of default to because it is widely known as being extremely easy to print. It's available in a bunch of different colors, and it's affordable. We're starting to see a lot of growth in tough PLA, though, and this is my personal favorite material to print with because it's every bit as easy to print with as PLA, but it's a lot stronger. It's 2 to 3 times as strong as a regular PLA material, and it's the same price. So I think it's a great material to work with. If you haven't tried tough PLA, definitely check it out. They've got materials for strong mechanical strength, things like polycarbonate, ABS, and CPE, which is a copolyester. They've got materials for good wear resistance, such as nylon or polypropylene. Materials for heat resistance, which again, polycarbonate fits into. And then they have CPE Plus, which is an enhanced version of the CPE with higher temperature resistance. They have materials that offer flexibility, such as, again, polypropylene. And then they have TPU95A, which is a nice, flexible, almost elastic type of material that you can print well with. And then they have support materials. So there's PVA, which is a water-soluble support material, which I love working with. It really opens up some nice possibilities. And they have breakaway support. So if you don't need the water-soluble, if you're able to get, if you only need supports in areas where they can be broken away, breakaway supports are compatible with a wider variety of materials compared to PVA, and it's a little bit less expensive. So the breakaway material is an alternative option for your support needs. So here we have a comparison of those different materials and compatibility. I'll let you go over this when I share the slides later. But they've also done something really special. As I said, they've developed this material marketplace. And so they've combined their own material expertise with over 80 global material companies. I think that's well over 100 now, actually, and introduced through that this Materials Alliance. And so, as you can see, there's already quite a large number of well-known brand names in there. Owens Corning, BASF, Clariant, a lot of these are names that you'll recognize that are well-known for high-quality materials. And you can now get access to ready-to-use profiles for all of those materials. And the list is growing every day. They're constantly adding new Material Alliance partners into that marketplace. And there's some amazing materials that are included there. BASF has things like this PET that is reinforced with carbon fiber, strong and stiff with good temperature resistance. They have a polypropylene glass fiber material that has nice UV resistance, great chemical resistance, stiff but lightweight parts. They have this nylon high temperature with carbon fiber. So it's a high temp nylon with heat resistance up to 150 C. That is also reinforced with carbon fiber, and it has a nice high chemical resistance, higher than most nylons. DSM has materials like their Novamid, which is a nylon that's been used in automotive and electronics parts for years, very strong and stiff, has a high heat deflection temperature of 184 C, and has very low warpage compared to other nylons, which is often a problem when you're printing nylon. They have their Arnitel line, which is sort of a rubbery, highly elastic material, which is really nice because usually that's very hard to print on an FDM printer, but they have theirs optimized for the Ultimaker machines. And on the one on the right, the Arnitel HT is a high temperature flexible material, which is pretty unique. You don't see that very often. So that gives you a lot of flexibility, but still combines that with high temperature resistance. Owens Corning, who you know probably for a lot of their glass work, is not surprisingly introduced glass-filled materials. So they have a glass-filled polypropylene and a glass-filled nylon material, which offers some nice strength and wear resistance benefits, as well as chemical UV resistance, et cetera. And DuPont, they have a Zytel material with a good temperature resistance, good printing speeds, low warpage, nice surface quality. And they have something called Hytrel, which is a copolyester-based material that's kind of a flexible, almost rubbery thermoplastic. And it has really nice mechanical properties that they say is comparable to injection molding in terms of the strength in all the different directions when you print with it. So a lot of just compelling materials. That's just a small sampling. Definitely check out the marketplace for yourself. So it means that Ultimaker has the widest material choice in the market when it comes to an FDM printing solution. As you can see here, they've got over 50 materials just in their Ultimaker brand line of filaments. They have the third-party material integration. They have composite materials. Just the other competing brands have a much more limited selection of ready-to-use materials that have optimized profiles for their platform. So when you invest in 3D printing, don't just look at the specs. Don't just make your buying decision based upon the minimum layer height and the print speed and all the things that they put into their spec sheets. It's a lot more than that. Look for an integrated platform that dissolves the complexity of the 3D printing workflow, that works seamlessly together between the hardware, the materials, the software, that aligns with your particular needs. Make sure that you're going to be able to do what you need and work with the materials that you need to work with for your particular application. And make sure that it's going to give you a predictable level of industrial grade results. You want something that's really going to give you a return on your investment. And so that is the Ultimaker 3D printing solution. And so we have a little time left. I want to open it up to Q&A now. Any of you are welcome to type questions into the Q&A panel. If you haven't already, I'm going to flip over there and take a look to see if we have any. But if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and type questions in there, and we'll hang out here for a little while to see if we have questions to answer. But you're also welcome to follow up with us after the fact. You can reach us at shop3duniverse.com. We have the whole suite of Ultimaker solutions available on our site, along with plenty of extra information for you. And you can email us, info@3duniverse.org, with any questions that you might have. And you're also welcome to call us. Our 800 number is there at the bottom of the screen. So please do feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to talk with you about what your exact needs are and help you to find a solution that will work for you. So let me take a look and see if we have anything in the Q&A at this point. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions coming in so far. So I'm going to hold on here for a couple minutes to see if we get any questions that come in. So please do go ahead and open up that Q&A panel and type in any questions you might have, and I'll be happy to answer those. Otherwise, we'll be happy to follow up with any questions that come in after the fact. Okay, so we have a question that is asking if I can briefly explain the dual extrusion setup in Cura. And I'd be happy to. So the way dual extrusion works in Cura really depends on what you're trying to do. If you are looking to do a dual material print where you're printing maybe two colors of the same material, the way it works is you're going to need to bring two models into Cura. So each model is going to be configured for a different color. So for example, if you want to print half of your model in red and half of it in green, you'll need the two parts of your model to be done separately. And that way you can bring both models into Cura. You can assign one model to the left extruder, which will have the one color loaded, and you'll assign the other model to the other extruder, which will have the other color loaded. And then you can select both models, and there's an option, and when you right click, there's an option to merge those models, and that will merge them according to their sort of their orientation, their source orientation. And if they were modeled with the same sort of orientation, it'll bring those models together so that they fit as one object, and it will then be printed that way so that each part of the object gets printed in the appropriate color. Now, as I said, we're having a Cura deep dive session later in the week, and I'll actually show you that in that session so that it'll be a little bit easier to understand when you see it. But the other way, and this is probably the more popular and more common implementation of dual extrusion, is when it comes to support materials. So that's a lot easier, actually. You just load your object in that you want to print with. And when you select your printing material, as I said, that Ultimaker Cura knows what materials are loaded in your printer. So let's say you're using an Ultimaker S3 and you've got tough PLA loaded and you've got PVA, that water-soluble support material, loaded. Cura will see that. It'll see that you have tough PLA black, for example, and PVA. So all you have to do is click that to say that's what you want to use, and it'll load the right settings for you. And then there's a checkbox that says, do you want support? And if you check that box, you can choose whether you want those supports printed with the left extruder or the right extruder, or extruder 1 or 2. So you just choose extruder 2 if that's where your PVA supports are, and then it'll print your object with extruder 1 using the tough PLA, and it'll print the supports using extruder 2 using the PVA water-soluble material. And all that complexity is handled by Ultimaker Cura. You don't need to model the supports or tell it where to put them or anything like that. You just check the box and that's it. You've got advanced settings if you want to go in and customize and tweak how those supports are printing, but you don't need to. It's as simple as just checking the box for supports and telling it that you want to use the PVA material for those supports, and Cura handles the rest. So it's not hard at all. Again, there is a session coming up later this week. We'll have an opportunity to show that to you in more detail. When that is. The Ultimaker Cura deep dive session is coming up on Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Time. So again, if you haven't already signed up for these follow-up sessions, you can find all those links. I'll take you back to that first page here where you can see that link. tinyurl.com/3du-webinar. That page has all these follow-up sessions, links to sign up for each of those and get them added onto your calendar. So I do hope you will join back for that Ultimaker Cura deep dive session later in the week. Okay, not seeing any other questions in the Q&A right now, so I think we'll go ahead and bring this to a wrap. Please do feel free to reach out to us if you do think of any questions that come to mind after the fact. We'll be happy to work with you on those. Just email us, info@3duniverse.org, or give us a call. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you back again soon for our other upcoming sessions that we'll be doing throughout the week. Thanks very much.